We had an emotional farewell to close off an incredible weekend for the final Mile High Nationals at Bandimere Speedway. We had 4 incredible storybook winners to cap off the weekend, and we head into the Western Swing with a lot to talk about as we get ready for Seattle. All that and more in our Denver post-race coverage. You are watching Mighty Mac. Let's get into the video. So I talked about in the intro, an incredible way to end off the final Mile High Nationals at Bandimere Speedway. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to jump straight into the brackets so that we have enough time to show you the final rounds of the 4 pro categories and hopefully some interviews that went on the top end to go with it. So we're going to jump straight into pro stock motorcycle. Gaige Herrera started off the season strong. He made a statement on the Vincent Hines bike that team was not messing around, they were going to be the ones to be to try and win this championship. Had a slump at Bristol and Norwalk and came into Denver with a vengeance as he looks to kick off a strong start to Pro Stock Motorcycles' first ever Western Swing because of the fact that they have Seattle added to their schedule. So if he can win that, that'll give him a lot of confidence heading into the hot summer months as well as the countdown. Starting off in round number 1. Faced off against Chris Bosta. Chris, a major red light, costs him in round number 1, letting Gaige Herrera run a 7.098 to the second round to face off against Matt Smith, another fellow Suzuki rider. Matt still trying to find his legs underneath him. He is slowly but really quickly, actually I should say, building confidence on that bike and finding the speed that he needs because he is starting to really bring the pace. Qualified number 6, not exactly what he would have wanted, but with the speeds that we saw back at Norwalk with a 200-mile-an-hour pass, he is showing that when it comes time to count down to the championship, he's going to be a thorn in Gaige Herrera's side. And much like we've seen in the past, Vincent Hines versus Matt Smith racing is going to come down to probably those two unless Angie has something to answer along with it. Because right now, I believe those are the top 3 riders in the series, right next to Hector Rana Jr. and possibly Steve Johnson. Those are all very tough competitors, and those are going to be the ones you're going to watch out for throughout the Western Swing as we get ready leading up to the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis. Going back to the race, round 2, Matt Smith loses to Gaige Herrera. 7.190 to 143 gives Gaige another entry into the semifinals to face off against Chase Van Sant. Chase, we saw an incredible start to him back at the Gator Nationals, ran it all the way to the finals to face off against Angie Smith and lost to her there. He hasn't really been much of a factor since then, becoming this weekend qualified number 2, ran it all the way to the semis. A 166, however, is not going to be enough to take down the Vincent Hines rider. Gaige Herrera. 7.109 gives him a final round matchup against Angie Smith, who went through Hector Orana Jr., Eddie Krawiec, and Gianna Evaristo to reach the final round. And Angie, who had looked so strong all weekend, was probably going to have a good shot at beating her with the fact of what the bike that she's on is what Matt Smith has had a lot of success with at that track in the past. Fouls, doesn't even have a shot to run at it. Gaige Herrera, 7.103, gives him the win, and he is back on top of the NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle category, and he is going to be the one with the opportunity to sweep the Western Swing of the NHRA season. Moving on into Pro Stock, Erica Enders, number 1 qualifier, had a very strong start. We keep saying it. We suspect that she's back. It looks like that she has the pace to be back at the top of the class, and she is quickly finding her feet under her. Number 1 qualifier heading into it. Faced off against Fernando Cuadra Jr. Takes out him to move on to face Jerry Tucker. Moves on to the semifinals to meet Troy Coughlin Jr., winner back at the Gator Nationals. Much like we talked about Chase Van Sant, wasn't too big of a factor. He had made semifinal appearances. He had strong performances, but wasn't that much of someone who I looked at as being the guy to make it to final rounds. And then he proves me wrong. Semi-final round, 6.944 takes down a 9.72, jumps her off the line and then runs away with it to meet in the final round against Dallas Glenn, who went to Kimmy Caruso, Kyle Koretsky, as well as Chris McGahey. So we talked about all season. KB Titan Power versus the Elite Performance Power. Who's going to win it? Well, Troy Coughlin Jr., 6.933, takes down Double O Glenn's 6.949 to give him his second win of the season. Like we talked about, the first since the opening round at the Gator Nationals all the way back in March, and now with the fact that they're not going to be running the final 2 races at Seattle and Sonoma, that's going to give him a big boost as they head into the hot summer months leading into Indy. Moving down into Top Fuel. Yes, we're going to talk about Top Fuel first because of the fact we're going to talk about how they ran and because of the storyline that goes with it. Clay Millican. I talked about it at the beginning of the season. This team looks like it has what it takes to be a championship contender. We saw it in testing with the runs. If you watched Clay's vlogs, they had been setting incredible, blistering fast times. They showed it at Gator Nationals in qualifying, but couldn't capitalize on the race. And I said, oh, maybe it's going to happen in Arizona. Didn't happen there. I took him until Chicago for us to really see the pace that car had. He won round 1. Then he won round 2, made it to the semifinals, and wins the final round and gets his first win of the season. After that, we never saw it again. Goes into Epping, loses there, but had a really good showing, and he didn't lose there, I should say, unless you want to talk about the re-race, because he had a very strong showing at Epping when he made it straight through the Too Fast to Tasty Challenge, beating Brittany first, but because of the rain out, they had to schedule it back to the doubleheader weekend we had back at Bristol. Loses there to Mike Salinas, moves on into the first round of the Bristol race, loses there as well. And then with the same situation, loses first round at Norwalk. It looked like they had fallen back off the horse again. Then they go into Bandimere Speedway. And when everybody really thought that he was out, when everybody was saying that he really needs to pick up the pace, right now 12th in the points behind Tony Schumacher and Sean Langdon, was really needing to start performing at the level that everybody expected him to. Qualifies 5th. An incredible qualifying effort from them. Had 3 strong passes. The Q1 run was not what that team would have liked, but from then on, it was just game mode. That car went down the track quick. It blazed through the field. Had pretty much a top 5 time, I want to say, throughout each of the remaining sessions. In round 1, wins there. Faced off against Tony Schumacher, the Sarge, a 940 to an 889. Oh, my bad. I can't read. An 840 to a 3889 moves Clay Millican on to round number 2 to face Mike Salinas, somebody who's been a thorn in the side with races like, I believe, faced off with him, I want to say Phoenix as well as Pomona. Each time that Mike has faced off against Clay, he's won it. He had been on a winning streak. I believe it was something like 7-0. It had been a couple years since Mike Salinas had lost to Clay Millican, and it happened this week in number 4 qualifier. 6.321 smokes the tires to Clay Millican, who runs a 3.868. Back-to-back 3 8-second runs, and he moves on to face against Sean Langdon. Sean Langdon, a 4.009, loses to Clay's 3.859, leading to a semifinal matchup of Clay Millican versus Doug Kalitta. Doug Kalitta taking out Steve Torrence in the semis, going through Entron Brown round 2, and then in round number 1 faced off against Buddy Hall and took him down there. And Clay Millican, in the final round, it had been the last time he had won 2 races in the season was all the way back in 2018, and then wins it here in Bandimere. And it's such a big win for that team because, like we said, they need to start performing at a high level. I believe this win might jump them up into the 10th place in the points. They haven't officially updated the points. We're still waiting on that, but with how close the points were, and because of the fact that Tony Schumacher went out round 1, he's at least going to jump into 11th. And I believe, depending on how the points shake out with Sean making it to the semis, he might have a shot at jumping him as well. But Clay winning the final Mile High Nationals in Bandimere Speedway, once again showed the emotion on the top end. You could tell how much of a win this meant for him, and we'll hopefully get to show you the results of that later on in the video. But again, just an incredible performance. And this is something that he's going to want to keep doing because of the fact that he seems to have something figured out with that car, because he's only made it out of the first round twice. He's also only won twice. So every time he makes it out of round 1, he goes on to win the national event. And that's something that they're going to try and want to do, especially with the fact that now he has a shot of winning the Western Swing heading into Seattle and Sonoma. Finally, in funny car, Matt Hulk Hagan, number 1 qualifier, faces off against Chris King, could not make it to the starting line, so he gets a bye round in the second round. Not enough cars showed up, so he gets a bye round into the semifinals, where he faces off against, who else? Championship points leader Ron Capps, a 4.107, beats him on a whole shot of a 4.057 to go up against Alexis DeJoria. Alexa, round number 1, faced off against Chad Green. She called it straight up on the stage, said, "I'm going to whip his butt," and in fact, does she ever. A 4.089 takes down Chad Green's 4.201. Alexa moves on to meet up against Cruz Pedregon. Ford 818 beats Cruise's 5887. Moving here on to meet her Toyota teammate, JR Todd, who, again, a really strong performance for that team because of the fact that they've been able to, believe, make back-to-back semifinal appearances. That team is slowly starting to get their footing, much like the other two cars of Sean Langdon and Doug Kalitta. They're starting to go around, and they're starting to be that threat that everybody thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. And with JR Todd now having, believe, back-to-back semifinal appearances, they're really starting to get their footing. But again, the person that has really been able to represent Toyota in the funny car class has been Alexis. And I keep saying this, their day is coming. They're going to win it. That car is way too fast to not have a Wally on their shelf for 2023. And if they keep this up, eventually it's going to happen. But it didn't happen this weekend. On a weekend that was going to mean so much to Dodge, with the fact that they have been sponsoring the Mile High Nationals for over 30 years, and this being the final time that they were going to have a shot at winning the Mile High Nationals at Bandimere Speedway. They go out there, and Matt Hagan represents them well, wins the event with Dodge Power Brokers on the side of that car, the title sponsor event. They keep Toyota from winning their 200th event at Dodge's event. An incredible way to kick it off. Let's show you some highlight videos.
She went red. Gaige Herrera is back. He never left the #1 spot in the category for points, but he might have vacated it for just a moment when it came to intimidation. Well, guess what? The gorilla's back out of his cage.
Gaige, Andrew Hines is right there cheering you on. He was the first to give you a fist pump at the starting line, and you've been very honest with yourself about the mistakes that you have made. Describe the mental toughness it took to get that Wally.
Oh, it took a lot, you know. I put a lot of pressure on myself after the last 2 races. You know, I had a little bit of bad luck, you know, and to be able to bounce back from that and get the win here at Denver, you know, it's the last race here, unfortunately. It's a very beautiful facility. Hate to see it go, but, you know, the whole Van Size Mission Suzuki team, you know, they worked their butts off. And after Friday, you know, we had to put our heads down and get after it. And I can't thank Andrew and the whole team enough.
A 15 and a 19 light. 4,000. It's almost imperceptible to the naked eye in the starting line, so it's a horsepower contest that is won by Troy Coughlin Jr.
Coughlin just said, man, that was a heck of a race, and there's been a lot of conversation about Dallas Glenn and Matt Hartford. Why is your name firmly back in this discussion?
Geez, you know, we got a long way to go till November, but Elite Motorsports, we're not going to give up. That's for darn certain. But Mark Ingersoll, all the boys in the lounge, everybody on this Jegs.com White Castle machine have this thing flying, and our people make this possible, and we love everybody.
Biohaven for Clay Millican as they roll into final stage and lead. Doug Kalitta smokes the tires. Clay Millican picks up win number 5, his second on the season. And again, from a day from races they couldn't win a single round, it's a day of perfection.
Watching Clay Millican take in this moment, and you're going to go watch that highlight back. Your team was going absolutely nuts on the starting line, including your sisters. You just said, I have the last Wally from Bandimere. How extra special is that?
I tell you what, it's pretty dang incredible because you can only do this once, and I'm sad that this is the last one, but holy moly, am I so proud of everybody that makes this team go. Thank you, Rick Ware, for believing in us. So proud my sisters were here. First time they've been here when I won a Wally, and I love all of y'all folks. I love this group taking pictures. My buddy Freiberger's here. My PFI Speed buddies are here. It's amazing. We just won another Wally. Yeah!
It is another huge starting line advantage for an opponent for Alexis, and this time she's not going to catch him. 4:13.5 at 304 miles an hour, and the mountain of a man has conquered the mountain of a drag strip for the second time in his career.
Matt, you have been racing with purpose off and on this track this weekend. What will that Wally represent?
It's massive. I mean, the last Wally here, my mom's birthday weekend, you know, all these fans out here, this is a Dodge event. It's a Dodge trophy. It doesn't get any better. We won the 2 Tasty deal, #1 qualifier. Dickie Venables is a bad man. He's a badass. And all my guys, they do a great job. I can't be here without my guys. So thank you. And thank you to all these fans that showed up and showed out.
Woo! Yeah!
And then lastly, to end it off, it talked about at the beginning. While this race, I believe, storybook way to end the Mile High Nationals, 4 incredible winners, 4 emotional outcomes, and 4 reasons to be happy about it. the shared emotion that a lot of teams have already stated they're feeling as they leave here is just straight sadness and somber. This is not a track that they want to leave, and sadly that's something that we're having to do a lot this season with the fact that we just did it back at Wild Horse Motorsports Park in Arizona back at the second race of the season, and now we're doing it for the Mile High Nationals. It's a track that everybody loves. If you listen to the interviews all season long, whether it was me or Monday Morning Racer, Competition Plus, wherever you want to look, a lot of teams, when they're asked, what is your favorite track, Bandimere is somewhere in that top 3 list amongst drivers, amongst crew members, amongst media, amongst the fans. It is a bucket list track, and it's a track that a lot of people are upset to see go. But sadly, with the way things are, it was time for the Bandimere family to leave, and it had not been a secret. I've been told that they've been looking at doing this since at least 96. They looked specifically at the Denver airport since 96, and that's exactly where they are looking to build a new racetrack. So while this is a goodbye from Bandimere Speedway, this isn't a goodbye from hopefully the Denver market, because I really do believe that Bandimere is not a track that the NHRA can afford, or the Denver market is not a track that the NHRA can afford to lose. If you look at the way motorsports is in Denver, NHRA is the only game in town in terms of big name championship series that visit there. The only other motorsports event that regularly visits the area is the legendary Pikes Peak Hill Climb, but that is a standalone event, a standalone hill climb event, so it's not really something that a lot of fans can easily get into. It's still a huge event, and I'm hopeful there's going to be a video about that. I'm going to say that now. Spoiler, there will be a video about Pikes Peak coming here soon. But if you look at it, there's nowhere else in town. NHRA has been the main market of big name racing that goes there because of the fact that they don't have Pikes Peak or National Raceway when ISC closed the gates and locked them to only test sessions and special demo runs. I believe Furniture Row had something with a veterans program to give disabled veterans chances to ride in a stock car. So there's still some racing, but it's not on the level of what the NHRA can bring. And Adam Stern had posted a story, and the reason why is because Bandimere looking to move to the airport, they're going to have, like, I believe they said 3 to 4 times the land that they had on the mountain, and they're going to look to build a road course, specifically to allow series like NASCAR, IndyCar, and the World Endurance Championship, or IMSA, be able to come there and race. So that's a big deal for the NASCAR community. And they blew up over the fact that they might have a race in the Denver market, because that's somewhere where they know they need to go, and it's somewhere where NHRA has capitalized on with the fact that other series have left. So hopefully we get a chance to go back to the Denver area. They look to keep 2024 off the schedule so that way they can build a track and be ready for 2025. It is an absolute somber way to end it. Hopefully there's a way to save the racetrack. I know that they said that the new buyers want to keep it for automotive purposes, but they didn't really dig deeper than that. So hopefully there's a way to save that drag strip, because everybody said it, whether it was fundraising, somebody buys the racetrack, or they just find a way to keep it alive. I genuinely do believe and agree with everybody else that it's a track that we just can't afford to lose, because it's one of the most unique racetracks on the calendar and in the country, because of the fact that you have it built straight into the side of a mountain. So hopefully we get to find a way to hold on to the racetrack, but if not, what a way to end it. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for following along. I see you guys watching the videos. I appreciate you guys and all the interactions and the comments I get. Thank you guys for interacting with me on social media that you can follow down below. Again, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, now even Threads and TikTok. Mighty Mac 03. Follow me over there. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share it, because again, the season has been absolutely fantastic. It is one you cannot afford to miss, and it is one that you need to pay attention to, because it just keeps getting better. And as we get closer to the big go at Indianapolis, is going to be even crazier, and I cannot wait to meet you guys back there again. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that. Follow me on all the social media pages so that way you guys can keep along. We'll see you next week for the Northwest Nationals. Until then, this has been Mighty Mac, and I will see you next time.